What's going on, you guys? So, girl, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. And we're back for another movie corner. Okay. Now, honestly, I did want to do this, but now that the fifth movie is out, is it the fifth movie? The sixth movie is out. Final Destination Bloodlines. I did go see it last week. Actually, when did it come out? It came out May 16th. So I went to go see it that Friday. And I'm just not getting to talking about it. Jeez. Because I didn't know if I just really wanted to start at the sixth movie or if I wanted to discuss all of the movies. And I feel like I'm going to discuss all of the movies. But let's just go there, okay? We have Final Destination, the franchise. And I feel like this is one of those franchises that has stuck with us millennials, and it has kind of traumatized us in a way, because everybody knows that scene in Final Destination 2, that the truck with the logs and all of that. Yeah. And I know there's a lot of us that do not ride or drive behind trucks with logs on it, okay? Or even steel beams and nothing like that. Baby, every time we see something like that, we like, let's get off, let's get over, let's move, okay? Because we're not finna do this. But I feel like this is one of my favorite. I have a few franchise, like scary movie franchises, that I can actually just watch. They're not scary to me, but they're just comfort movies. Scream is one of those. And the Final Destination movies is another. You know what I'm saying? Those like my top two. I can look at all of them back to back, except for Scream, or not Scream for Scream, but Final Destination, the fourth movie. The Final Destination, I hated that movie because it didn't tie in anyway. It just felt like out of all of the movies, sometimes when you get some of the movies, you can see how they kind of intertwine with the other movies, except for a couple of them. But that fourth one really just, it was poorly done. And then it was done in a way, because I know that they tried to make it 3D. So the way that we look at it, it just made it a little extra corny, like the CGI and all of that stuff. It just looked really, really whack. You know what I'm saying? But we'll get there. The Bloodlines came out a couple of weeks ago, and it's just continuing on. And I feel like, actually, if I had to rate Final Destination Bloodlines, given that the last movie, when did it come out? Let me look it up. The last movie before that came out in 2011. All right. 2011? So that was like 15 years ago? Is that 15 years? That was 15? Let me do the math. I feel, girl, it's late. 14. Okay, well, I was almost correct. 14 years ago. Damn. Okay. Because the first one came out like in 99 or something like that, 2000. And basically what you have, and I need y'all, if you have HBO Max, go watch all five of them, okay? Because they're on there. And watch them in order, you know? You have Alex Browning in this first one. And I just... I will say this. This is what I was originally going to say. After watching Bloodlines, I was a little concerned, as, you know, because so much time has passed. And, you know, if you go back and you look at some movies that came out earlier, they do seem a lot cornier now that you look at them now, given how advanced we are in technology and advanced we are in storytelling and everything. And it's like, do we really need a sixth one? Do we really need a seventh one? Do we really need that? No, we don't. But I wouldn't mind it, okay? But at the same time, it's like, how are we going to tie all this in? Because it's been 14, 15 years. And the way that they did all of that, I was like, oh my goodness. I did not expect, like, I didn't go into the movie with any expectations, okay? But I actually enjoyed it. And listen, y'all, it actually made me, like, we was up in there. I was in there with my sisters, and my younger sister, who is not a horror fan, but let me tell you the crazy thing. The young one, the movie that she used to watch and we put on all the time was Final Destination 3. She loved that movie. Mind you, she was a baby. That was a movie that she watched as a baby to probably like 2 years old, something around that age. And that just quieted her fucking down. Like, she just watched it like it was the Care Bears. Like it was Barney and Friends. You know what I'm saying? That's how she was. But she don't like horror movies. But we took her to see this one, and she actually liked this one. You know, I was like, oh, snaps. Okay, so it's not just me. I really did like the movie, okay? And it was moments where it wasn't scary, but it was just when the kills happened, a lot of stuff made me jump, and I just really wasn't expecting it. But it did. It may be because it was so loud up in there. And you know, when you go to a theater, you get that surround feeling and everything. You feel everything. Bitch, we was feeling it in the seats and all that stuff. So maybe that's what it was. But I enjoyed it. And so basically, if you have not watched Final Destination, let's just go through the first and through fifth one. So the first one, basically, you starting it off, this guy, teenager, Alex, and his buddy, his friend, Todd. They're about to go on a school trip, okay? I think they were like juniors or something like that, because Todd's older brother was also going on a trip too. And I feel like it was a French class. So they was going to Paris, okay? That was the whole thing. They was going to Paris. They get on flight 180. He gets on the plane, and he just started noticing things like the plane is practically falling the fuck apart, like they're all now, okay? Mind you, all of this happened. This movie came out right before September 11th happened. Woo! Because September 11th happened the next year. In 01. Okay? I said, oh, because they wouldn't have been able to put this shit out. They wouldn't have been able to put this out. Had it came out or been designated to come out a little bit later, it wouldn't have flew. But they get on a plane, and the plane just starts crumbling, whatever. He's noticing stuff. He's pricking his fingers. One of the main things that kind of stay with most of the shows, most of the movies, is when somebody pricked their finger in the premonition. So come to find out, you have the tray. The knob comes off of the food tray in front of the chair. You know what I'm saying? You have these two girls. They want to sit together, asking him, can they move seats? You get on the plane, and you also have somebody that's on there that is severely disabled. Okay. You have a baby on there that is crying his face off. And you even had Todd's brother said, it has to be a messed up guy to take down a plane with a baby on it. And then you see somebody that's disabled. It was like a really messed up guy. You know what I'm saying? And I said, well, that's really, and I had to think about that recently. I was like, yeah, definitely didn't give a fuck. And you know what? That's so true though. That was so real. I was like, on the one hand, I'm like, damn, that's messed up. But that's real life though. Death don't care who it come for. It don't matter the age, the time, or whatever. It's going to come when it's going to come. And you just don't know, And so he's having all of this, right? He switched seats, and, they get ready to, Billy, one of the other classmates come on, Billy, and they get in there, sitting on the plane. The plane is having a little bit of turbulence and everything. And next thing you know, the plane starts just tearing apart. Okay, that's just basically what it was. And then it eventually blows up. And then Alex wakes up. Come to find out, it was a premonition that he was having. It was like a dream, but it was a premonition. And he starts freaking out, and he was like, because all of a sudden, everything that he dreamt while he went to sleep that little short time, it started happening. The girls coming to ask him to sit at the seat. The tray pulling out and the handle coming off. The air not working, and then the kids on there, and then Billy coming on there dropping his food, his stuff. All of that started happening, so of course he started freaking out. You have this one girl who's a loner. Her name is Clear Rivers, played by Ollie Laundrie. Okay, y'all remember her from Obsessed? Yeah. Okay. So you got her coming up there, and she basically saw, mind you, she has no connection to Alex or anybody else on this plane, besides the fact that they're in the same class. They never talk to each other at all. But for some reason, she felt like, let me get the hell up off this bitch too. Okay. There was another person, Carter, and his girlfriend. He gets upset because of the ruckus that Alex is, for whatever reason. If you felt some type of way, And Carter was the one that really irked me so much, okay? Because if I see that somebody is going off like this and having a moment, having an episode, I'm not finna get upset because they're about to take them off the plane. Unless they tell us to all deplane, take them off the plane and let's just be done with it. But no, he decides to get up and try to fight him. And then Billy, look, he's a little slacker, okay? His little slow ass. He get caught in the fray too. So he has to get pulled off the plane. And then the two teachers that was there, Miss Lumen and the other French teacher, which was male, he gets pulled out. But she said, one of us got to go. One of us got to go be with the kids. And she'll just catch the other flight. So she told him to get back on the plane. So now you got Alex, Clear, Carter, his girlfriend, Billy, and Miss Lumen. They're all off the plane. And Carter, once again, is pissed off and trying to fight him. And I just never understood. This is the Final Destination. Every time I go back and I watch it, especially now that I'm watching it with an adult eye, it just bothered me the way that they treated Alex, okay? Yeah, it's a little weird that, he's having this little psychosis or these little premonitions or whatever, and you're thinking like, come on now, that's, you got to be tripping. You're probably on some little drugs or something, whatever. But at the same time, technically speaking, he kind of saved your life just for a second. He gave you a little bit more time. That's literally what it was, okay? What I'm saying is, I didn't understand why Carter was so pissed off at him from jump. And it just goes to show, Carter must have been a bully. Obviously, he was on like the football team or the basketball team because he had a little Letterman jacket on. I guess he was one of the cool kids. Okay, cool. But at the same time, why did you have to be so upset at Alex? Okay, I just didn't understand it. When Miss Lumen turned on Alex, I didn't understand that either, because I get being freaked out, but at the same time, if that would have happened to me, yeah, I'd be freaked out because, again, they fighting in the airport, but the plane actually boom. It blows up, okay? So that's just what happens, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, why are we still mad at Alex and all of this stuff? The memorial happens a month later. Miss Lumen comes up, or Alex come up there. She said, "Don't talk to me. You scared the hell out of me." Okay, well, he scared the hell out of himself too because he didn't know nothing about this. Carter just, want to fight him every time he see him. They driving down the street. He got to pull it over to cuss his ass out. And I'm like, what is your beef with him? He literally saved your life before he knew that it had some other consequences to it. He literally helped save your life that you did not, so that you can come out here and walk freely for a few more days, a couple more weeks, an extra month or so. You know what I'm saying? Instead of you having to disintegrate up on that goddamn plane, okay? That poof imploded in the air. All right? Like, I just didn't understand that aspect of it. It pissed me off so much. Why y'all upset? I would have been like, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what happens next, thank you. Because at least I didn't have to go down in a fiery grave like that, in a fireball. But, of course not. Next thing you know, everybody starts dying off one by one. Then we figure that, or at least Alex eventually figures that, they start dying in the order that they would have died on the plane. So first is Todd, which is his best friend. He can't speak to him. His father is no longer letting him speak to him because of the simple fact that he feels like Alex is the reason why his other son is no longer here, because his other son, like I said, was on the plane with them, and he told Todd to get off and go check on Alex and be with him. And so he died on the plane. Okay, so I guess the daddy is blaming him for that. Like, what? And so now Todd is at home at the memorial. He's in the bathroom. And see, one of the things that I loved about the Final Destination movies is that they do the misdirects all the time. You would think that this is the way that they're going to go out, and it's not. We saw the water come out the toilet on the floor, and we see Todd with the boombox, and he plugs it in. It almost falls over into the toilet or whatever. We're thinking that, he's going to get electrocuted. No, it doesn't happen that way. Then he's shaving, and we're thinking, he's going to cut himself and he's going to, nick an artery or something. No, he nicks himself a little bit, but nothing happens. You know what I'm saying? But then something happens where he needed to reach over. Oh, he was trying to turn on the water in the shower or something like that. Baby, the shower ring, the curtain ring wire winds up choking his ass out. Okay, I said, well, shit. And then the water retreats after Todd passes away. The water retreats back to the toilet. That was supposed to be death. And this is one of the things that I really didn't like about the franchise, because why not keep that up? We never saw anything else like that in any of the other movies, where we literally saw something happen, like the water coming out the toilet, and we knew that death was happening, but it reversed back. After the job was done, it goes back like nothing happened. We didn't see nothing like that. We didn't see nothing else like that. I was like, what was the point of that? Okay. And of course, Todd passes away, but while Alex was at home, he gets a little sign because he was trying to scare away an owl. He threw a magazine at the window and it hits the fan, and then the fan chops up the picture, piece of paper, one of the pages, and the word T-O-D, Todd's name. It pops up in him, and so it causes him to get up and to go see what's going on with Todd. And then Todd's dad outside like, didn't you see it? Didn't you see it? You caused him so much grief and so much guilt about getting off the plane and letting his brother die that he winds up taking his own life. And I was like, no, that ain't what happened. And so Clear, she comes over there telling him to get up out of there because the FBI is looking into him and all that stuff. Even though I don't understand why they was looking into him that hard, because again, he didn't cause the plane to blow up. Okay, he didn't cause that plane, whatever that happened to plane. Okay, and so you got that happening, right? Who wound up then next? So him and Clear, they finally link up. They go see Mr. Bloodworth, played by the legendary Tony Todd, Candyman himself. And he was basically talking about, the entity of death. Okay, you can't cheat death. If you skip somebody, or if somebody intervenes on your death, and when it's your turn, it skips you and it goes to the next person, right? Okay, cool. Then the next person that winds up passing, because they're out there on the street, Clear and Alex is having a conversation. Carter and his girlfriend, they pull up because Carter sees him and he just has to stop. Mind you, Alex ain't doing shit. Okay, never did shit to this man. Gets out and comes at his throat. And the girlfriend gets so pissed off and was like, get the fuck over it, bitch. We survived, okay? Now, if you want to keep on being upset for whatever fucking reason you want to be upset, you can count me out. Bitch, she stepped up in the street and then the bus hit her and she gone. I said, what? Then we go to Miss Lululemon's house, okay? She just so distraught. And she was like, listen, girl, I got to get the hell out of here. She on the phone with her friend, her good girlfriend. And we seeing all the signs, too. Like, it was the John Denver song that just kept on playing. And, he died in a plane crash, I believe. They had that playing throughout the whole movie. She was playing a record, you know what I'm saying? She's seeing, like, the shadow of death coming through, imprinted on the freaking teapot. All right, she go get some tea. She put the hot tea up in the cup, the mug. Then she put some cool vodka up in there, which causes, because you went from a hot item to a cold item in a glass, which caused the mug to break a little bit, and so it cracks and it's dripping onto the computer, caused the computer to short circuit and start sparking out or whatever. And then that caused, a fire started happening up in the goddamn house. And, at one point she did see Alex out there checking her tires and all that stuff. Because he knew that she was next. And she got scared of him. Called the FBI on him. Then, he got up out of there for a second, but he came back because her house wound up catching on fire. She wound up because the computer just explodes and shards of the glass from the screen cuts her neck. And so she's holding her neck and she's bleeding. She slips on her blood. She's trying to get something to stop the blood. So she grabs a towel that's just so happened to be on the butcher cut, the knife block with the knives in it. She pours that shit down, and one of the knives hit right here in her chest. I said, oh my goodness. And then here comes the stupid part when Alex brings his ass up in there trying to help her. And then you see the knife in her chest. And then the chair just so happens to fall on her. and pushes it all the way down and kills her. He pours the knife out with his bare hand. I said, oh my goodness, you better be glad that the house blew up and blew up all the evidence, okay? But the only person that knew that he was really up in there was Billy, because he was outside. He just so happened to roll up when Alex was running out before the house blew up, right? Okay, so next thing you know, he trying to get everybody together and tell them what's going on. Clear, Carter, and Billy is in the car, and then Carter is going through a moment because he's just in his feelings like, F death, you can't take me out. I go on my own time and all this stuff. I ain't scared and everything. And he's playing Russian roulette with the goddamn car. We want a drag race. Okay? Baby, you want to play with your life like this. Don't do it while I'm in the car. So he's speeding, and then the train coming, and he stops right on the track. They was like, bitch, if you don't move this car. And so he finally tried to move the car, but it won't go. And then he has the seatbelt on. Everybody else is able to get out, but his seatbelt gets stuck. And so Alex just so happened to come in and to help him and finally gets him out right at the last minute, right? And so therefore, it should have been Carter that left. He was next. It didn't happen because Alex came in and he intervened. And then so the next person that wound up going to was Billy. And he wound up getting his head just decapitated by a piece of scrap metal that was on the fucking track that came through and just flew and took his head out. I said, goddamn. So now we're down to 3, okay? And so the next person, Alex thought it was going to be him. So they go to Clear's father's cabin, and he so-called fits it out so that nothing can happen to him. But I'm looking like you literally put yourself in a death trap. It's so many ways in that cabin. You trying to be safe, but you literally you stand at a place where you can actually get hurt, And then come to find out, he wasn't the one that was next. It was actually Clear, and she almost get electrocuted. He comes through, and he saves her, but he still survives. So it goes to the next person. Or was it him? I don't know. It skipped. Somehow it skipped because they wound up going back to Paris. They finally get to Paris on Flight 180. Flight 180 blew up at the beginning. That was something that was recurring too. Flight 180 blew up in the beginning. I would never get on the plane after that. You would never catch me on the plane after that. But they said, you know what? 6 months later, we here. We went through the whole list, okay? And we're the last survivors. So, okay, cool. And it did go back to Alex. Alex was the next person, right? And so they was up there in Paris, and they was having a little sit down and, eating and all that stuff. And he thinking like, okay, cool. I mean, we are here, but what if this really ain't over? Because then next thing you know, Clear gets a little premonition. Okay, I said, bitch, it switched to her. Girl, yeah, it switched to her. She started seeing the little signs of a car, of the bus coming. Alex was walking down the street. She was like, Alex! And, he hopped out. And then the bus just went past him. But then it caused a chain reaction where stuff just started being knocked over. And then Carter has to come in and save Alex. So now it's back to him. And he was like, who's next, bitch? And I was just like, oh, the way that they became friends, and they trauma bonded in friendship. That's basically what it is. Because we went through a horrible experience. And I see that y'all got my back now because y'all the only ones that understand. So I might as well be friends with your ass. And so now at the end of Final Destination 1, Carter gets hit with the sign that was of this theater. And it just so happened that the part of the sign that he gets hit with says 180. The beginning of the movie, they was getting on the flight 180 to Paris. You get hit by a sign that partially says 180 in Paris, the significance. So we get that. Then we get Final Destination 2. It's a whole new story, but it's kind of connected. It's actually connected to the first one, but it's new people. Because, again, the only ones that survived from Final Destination 1 was Alex and Clear. Come to find out, Clear put herself in a panic room because Alex did die. Alex died later in a freak accident. He was outside and a brick hit his ass in the alley. What? And they said the reason why he wasn't able to come, because they did want him initially to be up in Final Destination 2. He had another filming obligation, so he wasn't going to be able to do it. And so that's why they had to do his death like that. And you found that out when they was going through all the stuff and trying to do a little research, and the cop was sitting on the computer and looked up, previous stuff that happened. Looked his name up and everything, and the whole thing with Flight 180, and it said in a newspaper article that he passed away because he got hit, a brick fell on his head in the alley. That is... I went through all of that just for a brick to hit me and take me out. Bitch, what? Don't play with me like that, okay? Meanwhile, this episode 2, movie 2, okay? You got Kimberly and her friends. They're about to go on a road trip, right? Her daddy was like, check your transmission because your transmission fluid is leaking, and the transmission looked like red blood on the floor already. Baby, I would have said, pull this goddamn car over, because I don't play around with those things. When I see them things, the engine check, engine light, and all that shit, absolutely not. Turn it over. Let's go to the car dealership and let's get this checked out, because I'm so paranoid like that, all right? This is the movie that gave us the traumatic stuff, okay? You may have been scared to get on the plane, but bitch, all of us are scared to get behind a log truck or anybody truck that got stuff that's open and could fall out, okay? That's just basically what it was, right? So she on the thing, and basically this pile up happened, and people getting burnt up in cars, people getting killed by their own motorcycles, log trucks going through the police car, taking him out, the mama and dad, son, they car flipping over and all that shit. Well, no, the crackhead car who was doing cocaine in the car, his car flips over. The other dude gets incinerated in his car. The mom and dad, son, their car get slammed into like a truck or something like that. And then her friends, Kim and her friends, they was the last one to die in the car, right? The car get flipped over, but then they get hit by another car, and that's just it. So, of course, she's the one having a premonition. She saw this all play out. She winds up stopping traffic. The cop wound up coming up there like, what's going on? She was like, oh my God, it's going to be a huge pileup. It's going to be a huge pileup. Mind you, you seen the little boy that was already on the, in one of the cars, and he had the truck, and the cars going like this, crashing into each other. That was another sign, okay? Then you got somebody in the car drinking, and then he's in a beer car truck, and it's saying, how is my drinking? Call this number. Like, girl, what? You just want to die, okay? So then you stop traffic, and everybody that we saw die is holed up in traffic. And so at that moment, the cop wound up pushing Kim out the way because, yes, that accident did happen. So now they looking at her like, what? And her friends looking at her like, girl, what? But then the cop had to push her out the way again because another car was coming, another truck was coming, and it hit her friends in the car and killed them. Bitch, I'd be so mad. Can you imagine? Can you imagine some shit like that happening? Girl, I'd never come out the house again. I'd never come out the house again. I'd be too traumatized, okay? So they all up in the police station. Then they all get the whole story about, oh, this happened before with the 180. And mind you, Kyle Barker's in this, okay? Kyle Barker from Living Singles is in this too, right? And so, of course, he's going to be the one that's going to be the non-believer. Eventually, Kim, she finally realized that this happened before, and of course, again, everybody started dying one by one. But again, once she realized the connection to Flight 180 and all of that, and then they found out that there was one survivor, which was Clear. We found out that Clear said, bitch, after Alice got hit in the head with that goddamn brick, let me put my ass in this padded room, okay, so can't nothing happen to me. So I really want to fight Kim because I know that you was trying to figure out how to, get past this or whatever. Claire would have still been alive. Claire would have been still alive, but you had to bring your ass up there and bother her because you couldn't figure shit out for yourself. You couldn't figure shit out for yourself. Okay, you want to come up there and you want to get some information. Okay, cool. But then you going to guilt trip her and call her a coward for not really wanting to help y'all the way that you wanted them to help her. Bitch, everybody that she knew that was on that goddamn plane that got off is dead and she the only one. Hell no, I don't want you to get out. Because listen, you safe right here. You doing good, girlfriend. Thank you for the advice. I'm a deuces. Stay up. Next thing you know, Clear she done fell for the goddamn gaslighting ass guilt trip and she got out. I said, goddamn, Clear, you're not making it to episode 3, movie 3. You're just not making it to the end of this movie. I just know you're not. Okay? And so she do come out. They is trying to tell everybody what's going on, but of course, nobody really wants to hear that shit. But then the next person that dies, you got the guy who wins a little bit of money from the lottery. He's living very much like a bachelor in a dirty apartment. He's up there trying to fix him something to eat after he just brought him a new Mac computer. Okay, I said, oh my God, this is so old because look at that MacBook. I really wanted a Mac computer like that. The bubble Mac computer with the booty in the back. Yes! I was like, oh my goodness, y'all got to see. Oh my God, for the non-millennials, the MacBooks didn't look like the MacBooks that they are now. The Mac computers didn't look like the Mac computers that they are now. Go back and look at the early MacBooks. Oh my God, they were so cute though. They were so small, but they were so cute. I really wanted one. Mom said no. Cheap bitch. But that's neither here nor there. Okay? But yeah. Times was hard back in the day. Okay? So I understood. But yeah, that's when shit was... I was about to say that's when shit was expensive. Baby, that shit ain't cost shit compared to what these MacBooks and all these computers cost today. Okay? But no, he gets that. He gets some jewelry. You buy all of this shit, right? But you can't buy no food. You heating up old ass fucking Chinese food that you didn't even close when you put up in the goddamn refrigerator. And some mozzarella sticks all up in the same pan, right? And when he closed the refrigerator, he had some magnets on his refrigerator. One of the letters fell out, and then it said EYE, right? And again, this movie gives you misdirects. You think that he's gonna get, something's gonna happen to him, like, oh, he's gonna catch on fire. Didn't happen. He dropped some jewelry down. A ring fell down the sink, and he had his new watch on. So he uses the hand that has the watch on, because I guess it's his dominant hand, and he puts that in the fucking thing, the drain, and it's a garbage disposal, and it gets stuck. Whole time, I'm kidding you not, I really thought he was finna get his hand chopped off. I thought it was finna get shredded. Okay, never happened. But the place almost burns down with him in it, and he wound up getting his arm out just in time before that bitch blew out. And so he wound up going out on the fire escape. And when he went out the fire escape, now prior to that, he had threw some spaghetti out the window. When the fire escape ladder finally get down there, and he finally fell down there to the floor, he stepped on the spaghetti, and he slipped and fell. And the ladder was right over his eye like this. And I said, oh shit, bitch. And I was like, oh my God, get the fuck up. I know we a little bit shocked, like, oh shit. Roll the fuck over at this point, okay? Roll over and be shot. No, he sat there for a good 10 seconds before that motherfucker came down and impaled him through his eye. I said, oh my God. It pissed me off because he didn't have to die like that. But, there's that. Meanwhile, you got that going on. And then the next death wound up happening. Who wound up dying? Everybody realizing, because it's a news alert saying that oh boy passed away. So now they all coming together and realizing that, yeah, this may be more to it than we thought. You got the mother and the son. They're going to the dentist. He winds up dying because, girl, we thought he was going to die and get choked to death with the little figurine that fell in his mouth. First of all, them pigeons was very disrespectful. I don't want to go to no goddamn dentist or anything that's very high up like that. And then you got them tall windows and all that stuff. And the pigeons just kept on hitting the window and breaking it. And it wound up getting inside. And the dentist then gave him some goofy gas. He can't move. And then the things then fell in his throat. He almost died, choked on that. I said, oh my God, he finna die like that? Girl, at least I thought the mama was finna get electrocuted because the fish tank was right there by the goddamn cord, okay, the socket, but that didn't happen. So they go outside, and Kimberly was like, it's the pigeon. Now the boy who be smoking cigarettes, because the dentist can tell that he was smoking cigarettes, this motherfucker just turned into a little kid, and he started playing with the pigeons, and he started showing, and then all of a sudden, the plate, because it's construction is going on, and you doing, all that stuff, trying to get their attention and move them. He get underneath the goddamn plate that they trying to pull up there, and it falls on him and crushes him. I mean, splat, bitch, right in front of his mama. I said, oh my God, that is so crazy. That is so, wow. That was a child. Dev said, I don't give a fuck. Mind you, they didn't already went to Tony Todd again, Bloodworth, and told him what was going on. And he said only new life can defeat death. Before, we already knew that you pass away in the order that you die. But in this movie, the order is reversed. It's not going in the order that you pass away. It's going backwards. So it's like it's clearing up things. You know what I'm saying? Okay, cool. But they said now, in order to defeat death, you need to bring in new life that wasn't supposed to die either way. So there was this pregnant woman that was not part of the pileup, but she was there and she was pregnant. So they found her van, impounded it, and arrested her just to keep her there so long enough to have her baby, so that all of this stuff can stop. So they thought. But next thing you know, they're over there at the cop's house and they're trying to tell them everything what's going on. Miss Girl, she said, bitch, I imagine she just lost her husband too. She just lost her husband. Now she lost her son, and you want her to give a good goddamn about all this stuff, and you telling her to look for signs. Girl, she get on that elevator, and it was a creepy man out there with some prosthetic limbs in the basket, and he sniffing her hair and all that stuff. Cal up in there just freaking the fuck out. Because, girl, this is how crazy it was. She didn't have to die. This was an unnecessary death. Because she realized that he was, because Cal said, excuse me, bitch. And he popped back, and they was like, men with hooks, men with hooks. That's what they called it, told her. It's men with hooks that's going to take her out. And then so she see him, look at my lips. She see him, and so she freaks out. And then the prosthetic limb wound up getting caught up in her hair because she's freaking out. Bitch, you ain't have to do all that. And so now you're freaking out. And she gets trapped up in it. She's trying to get up out the elevator door, which is already malfunctioning, and winds up closing on her head. And it starts going up, and her head gets squashed up in the elevator door. And then she gets decapitated. Now Cal is convinced, like, fuck this shit. I'm going to go out on my own terms. And he tried to take himself out with a gun that got 6 bullets, and it don't go. He shoot them all 6 times, and it don't go because it's not his time yet. I said, oh my goodness. So they all trying to go over there and get they driving. Next thing you know, they get into an accident. That causes Cal to have collapsed lungs, right? Now, see, this is where I learned a little bit about collapsed lungs before I actually Googled some shit. Since we was talking about collapsed lungs for the last couple of weeks and people just get up talking and all that stuff, baby, you'll be on a fucking ventilator, okay? You ain't gonna be able to do all that. Y'all seen when Cal, he was on that ground. He couldn't breathe, bitch. He damn sure couldn't talk. Because his lung was collapsed, okay? That's just what it was. You know, it was punctured. It was collapsed. It was deflated. No air was getting through. And if you can't breathe, baby, you can't talk. Message. You know, so I'm just saying, you know, shit don't make sense, baby. I went to the school of Grey's Anatomy and Google. All right. And so before all of this happens, they wind up telling the stories about how everything is connected to the first one. Cal was supposed to be a substitute teacher for Miss Lumen in movie 1 because she was leaving. Okay. The drug addict dude, he was supposed to be over there in Paris, right? And he really was in Paris, and he saw the whole thing that happened with Carter getting hit by the sign. Emily, what's her name? It was the girl, what's her name? The one that was supposed to be the businesswoman who was always smoking. She was on the bus that hit old girl, Carter's girlfriend. Okay? And then you got Kimberly, who was the main character. Her mother got killed by some kids or whatever. And she would have been, I can't remember what she would have been. I don't remember. We'll figure that out later. But the cop, he was the one that came up there to clean up Billy after he got his head decapitated on them train tracks. So everybody is connected one way or another to one of the characters in the first movie. I thought they was going to continue that, but they really didn't. It stopped right there until we got to Bloodlines, okay? But you get that going on, right? And so, of course, Cal got to go to the hospital because he got a collapsed lung. Miss Business Lady, she stuck up in the car because she's impaled, and she got a PVC pipe that's impaled her back seat, and she winds up getting impaled with that through her head when they was trying to take her out the car. The jaws of life situation caused, because they hit the car door trying to get it open, which triggered her airbag to go off, and she wound up getting impaled by the pipe. Okay. She was holding onto a cigarette that was lit. Her car is already leaking gas, fuel, and so that cigarette fell into the fuel, and it wound up lighting a freaking trail where it was going, and it went all the way over there to Rory, who was the crackhead, and it caused the fence that he was standing in front of to just snap, and it wound up just chopping his body off. So therefore, we got 2 deaths in one. 2 in a possible, bitch, because Kyle's still out there, you know. And so at this point, it was another boy out there. He wound up, you know, Roy wound up saving him because he was in the way and he almost got hit. So he saved him and pushed him out the way. And so there's that, right? Meanwhile, back at the hospital, we got this whole thing where, you know, Kimberly have a premonition that she drowned in, or somebody was trying to kill her. That wasn't what it was, okay? Like, she thought that a doctor was going to try to take or kill the girl baby. That wasn't what it was. She was going to deliver the baby, but she was actually the one that was supposed to revive Kimberly, because Kimberly had another vision that said basically she had to die to come back, because she was going to be drowned in the lake and then come back. She wound up driving that car into the ambulance into the lake, and she wound up dying, and then they brought her back. Prior to that, another Mr. Rat, girl, Cal wound up, the oxygen tank wound up just going off, and then somehow it just blew up, and his room blew up, and then Clear got blown the fuck up in the hallway too. So everybody gone except for Kim and the cop. And now that Kim, did what she did and partly drowned, and they brought her back. So then that was the end of it, right? They're cool. The baby was born, all of that stuff, right? Cool. Then it says sometime later they sit down eating dinner, having a little outside barbecue with the boy's parent that, you know, helped them out. That Rory helped out too, right? Girl, he wound up getting killed. Baby, they had blew him up and his arm fell on the table because he did push and help. Girl, it was just so messed up. It was so messed up. I said, po thing. What you trying to tell us? Don't help people? Just let shit happen? Because then it might come back on your ass? What? All right. And then we get up into Final Destination 3, which is a whole new set of people. We don't have anybody that's coming from the first or the second episodes. Eventually, they said in one of the extras that the cop from movie 1 and Kimberly, they wind up down in a wood chipper. I said, what? You gotta look at the extras and stuff like that. I said, oh my God, a wood chipper? Y'all could have did so much better than that, but okay. So this one is the one that's about the roller coaster. And what I liked about movie 1, movie 2, movie 3, it plays on fears that are rational. People have real fears of getting on planes. Movie 1. People have real fears of driving on the highway because of the speed and all of that stuff. You just never know what could happen. No, movie 2. And then movie 3, people have real fears. You see the video of people being scared to get on roller coasters because you just never know what's going to happen. That's movie 3. So you get, we're in another school. And basically you got this girl, Julie. Is her name Julie? Julie. Okay. And her boyfriend and her friend and Julie and her boyfriend, Julie and her best friend and her boyfriend, they're all at this little, senior day at the amusement park, right? Senior trip. And basically you seeing all the stuff that's happening. You got the jock that's playing on the, hitting the thing or whatever. You got the 2 girls that's acting a little fast and, just being promiscuously dressed. Ashley and Ashlyn, them 2. And then you got Frankie Cheeks' ass. I was so disturbed by Frankie Cheeks because you are grown. You graduated at least 2 or 3 years ago. Why are you still here messing around with these, trying to get with these teenage girls? Okay, you're 20 something at this point. I truly feel like he was older than what he really was. He already graduated years ago, and he keep coming back being a predator. Okay, it was just really disgusting. And he was going after the two girls that, Ashley and Ashlyn. I really like the two airheads. Okay, and I'm so glad that they didn't give him any time of day. But basically, they wound up getting on the roller coaster. And also you got the golf couple, McKinley and his girlfriend. You get them on the roller coaster. Julie didn't want to go and sit in the front with her boyfriend. So she wound up sitting in the back. And then her friend's boyfriend wound up sitting in the back with her. Okay? So they get on there. One of the things, she's having this premonition that basically everybody dies on a goddamn train. On roller coaster. Remember in movie 2 when the transmission fluid was happening and we saw that on the floor when Kim left her father's driveway? Same thing was happening with the roller coaster. Like the transmission fluid or the brake fluid was coming out. You know what I'm saying? It had been cut, right? And so they're on the roller coaster and everybody just starts to die. Her boyfriend and her friend die first. Next thing you know, who dies next? The jock dies, and then you got McKinley and his girlfriend. They die, and then you have it was these two girls that was in front of her. They die. We don't know who they are at the time, and then we have Julie's friend boyfriend. He dies, and she's the only one left, and then she eventually dies. Okay, so that's just how it is. Of course, she freaks out. Oh my God, I gotta get off. Lord, get off. Bitch, get me the fuck off. If I say get me off, get me the fuck off. Okay. And then at this point, the jock, once again, he gets upset and he tell, oh boy, man, can you control that bitch? And I'm sitting here like, why are you upset? Okay, if she's freaking out and she wants to get off, open it up, let her get off, sit your ass back down, and just wait until they say go, So everybody that was supposed to die winds up getting up off the roller coaster, except for her friend and her boyfriend. Okay, cool. So now they up there trying to talk. Where's your parents? We're gonna call your parents or whatever. And guess what happened? The roller coaster does fuck up and it falls off the track, and everybody on there that's left, they die. Okay, including her friend and her boyfriend. All right, cool. So she's just going around walking so grief-stricken in the rain, and oh my God, I'm just so sad. Ashley and Ashlyn is trying to cheer up and say, oh my God, we probably need to cheer you up. You want to go do this? We're going to go to 10. Come call us and all this stuff. Okay, cool. And so then the boyfriend, the friend's boyfriend, girl, I don't never remember his name. He played on Luck of the Irish. Was it Luck of the Irish or the one 13 or something? One of them Disney. He was a Disney kid. And I used to love his movies. Like he was one of the ones that turned into, when he turned 13, that's when he turned into the freaking amphibian. Yes, y'all remember what I'm talking about, bitch. If you old enough, girl, Disney used to have some good ass movies back in the day for us. Okay, good ass movies. One of my favorite movies was Brink. When they was skating, you couldn't tell me shit, bitch. Okay, because I used to like him, and I used to like a girl because she played Tiana. Was it Tina? Girl, y'all know what it was. It was fine. I ain't gonna lie. But anyway, moving on from that. Yeah, so he goes over there trying to talk to her. What's her name? Wendy? Her name was Wendy, and the sister name was Julie. The whole time I'm calling her Julie. But anyway, she went over there trying to talk to him. Well, he went over there to her car trying to talk to him. And then he winds up, this is the part that I didn't like. Like, the acting was horrible in this one. But I actually found myself watching this one more than I watch every other one, actually. But the acting was horrible. He wound up literally regurgitating everything that happened with the Flight 180. Like, this happened at another school and with this group of kids, and they got on the airplane, and then everybody started dying one by one. Oh, thank you for telling us the synopsis and what happened, okay? Wendy was looking at her like, looking at him like, boy, get the hell up out my face. All right. So then the next thing that happens, and she was taking pictures. So she found out later that within her pictures, it shows exactly how these people are going to die some way, somehow. Ashley and Ashlyn, they went to a tanning salon The owner was arguing with somebody on the phone. He winds up leaving out, and the door gets closed. They get into the tanning bed, and they wind up getting trapped up in the tanning bed, and then Death came and turned the damn temperature up, and then they got cooked. Baby, when they got cooked, them two tanning beds, and then it went to the next scene of them having a double funeral, I said, that was a good scene. That was a good fucking transition. I ain't even go hold you. I said, oh my God, that is so crazy. And so at the funeral, Wendy was there. She wound up missing, I think his name is Jake, okay? Wound up going and talking to him or whatever, and started telling him she gets what he's talking about, right? She's on the program because she started looking up stuff that happened in history and showing, you got the picture of Abraham Lincoln and it's this line going through it, and he got shot in the head. So all of this stuff or whatever. So basically, she's going through the pictures and trying to figure out who's next and all this stuff. Woo, woo, woo. We do see Tony Todd. Do we see Tony Todd this episode? No, we don't see him in this movie. We hear him when they was at the amusement park. He was the one that was announcing. He was the voice for one of the rides, the ride with the devil. Yeah, okay, that roller coaster. And then at the end of the movie when he was like, end of the line on the train announcer, you have reached the end of the line. That was foreshadowing as well. Okay, and so you get to that, and at that moment, everything started coming to play. They're going through a drive-through. Baby, they're trying to figure out who's next. Then there's this truck that's just going around, rolling off on its own. Mind you, they're on a hill, and it's going down. There's nobody driving the truck. The people behind them moves real quick, but the truck still is coming. The person in front of them, which just so happened to be Frankie Cheeks, and they did not know, he won't move. Because he's trying to get his food. He don't give a damn. And so they wind up kicking out the truck window to get out his truck window to get out. And then the other truck, his truck, Jake's truck. And the engine winds up coming through and basically taking off Frankie Cheek's back of his head. So Frankie Cheek is gone. Okay. Next thing you know, they try to go talk to oh boy, the jock, and this was the stupidest death, okay? Because he was on that exercise machine and you doing all that, fuck the Bruin, because he didn't get into the school of his choice, so he got into the second best, right? And he was like, fuck them, I'm controlling my life. And they had these little, because he's with the team it's the Sultans, they had these little knives up there, and because he was going so hard on the machine and all that stuff, and then something happened where one of the dudes flipped off one of the bare toenails that they had as the mascot that was the enemy's mascot that they was growling at. The toenail happened. It flipped off, hit one of them in the face, and then they knocked this over. It wound up, knocking over the damn, hitting the freaking thing at the top that had the two knives that was up like this. The knives come down like that, and it winds up cutting the wires, okay, the cable cords to the machine that he was working on that, presses down and all that stuff. And I said, this motherfucker finna do what I think he finna do. And see, he was like, see what I said? Fuck death. And he poured down on it, and that bitch got his head squashed like a goddamn watermelon. Yeah. Next thing you know, he's trying to, they're trying to talk to McKinley and his girlfriend. They're at like a Home Depot or whatever. They don't want to hear nothing about that. McKinley making jokes about it. Girl, next thing you know, the girlfriend get killed with her own goddamn nail gun. McKinley pissed off now. He's on a vengeance because he feel like Wendy had something to do with it. Oh, I caused your death? So now he's been stalking her. Okay? They at this goddamn centennial type of thing for the 4th of July or whatever. I don't know. But if I know that I might be dead soon, why am I working in some place where I know it could be a hazard? Jacob, they're working with some goddamn firecrackers and all this stuff. Now they trying to figure out who the hell was in front of them. Girl, she realized it was her sister. And so they looking for her. The sister don't want to hear no shit. Girl, it was a horse that get frightened by like the firecrackers and all that stuff, the fireworks and all that stuff. And it just takes off. And it had this cord and a spike at the end. Baby, that bitch wound up coming knocking her sister Julie down. And it wrapped around her neck and was just dragging that bitch. Now, my whole thing is, I just felt like if this shit was real, sister girl would have been dead. She would have been decapitated because, baby, you dragging her by her neck. But okay. Jake wound up coming in and cutting the fucking thing so that she wouldn't, die or whatever. So he basically intervened, okay, because she was next. And then she was like, Julie, who was sitting next to you? Because she's next. And it was her friend. She didn't even say it was her because, bitch, she just stood up and then the goddamn pole went right through her. Skewered her. I said, goddamn. Okay, and then here come McKinley trying to take out, Wendy, and that doesn't happen. He wound up getting taken out. Half his body get just flattened, and he died, and his middle finger was still shaking like, fuck you, bitch. Okay, and so it's just Julie, Wendy, and she's in college now. They on a train going back for the home game, whatever, homecoming game and all that stuff. And come to find out, she's having another premonition. She sees her friend on the train, and she's like, what the fuck? First she see her sister, then she see him, Jake. And they was like, what? I'm here for the game. And girl, she have a premonition that they gonna down that goddamn train. He was like, oh my God, no, not again. And oh my God, yes again. So that's how they all die. I said, oh, that's crazy. Then you get to Final Destination 4. This was the weakest one, in my opinion, because it shouldn't have been in 4D or 3D. And I don't even care too much about it. You get these group of people. The only thing that really mattered to me, like, first of all, you had one that was racist, that was really racist. And took part in a race car, a NASCAR event, like at the NASCAR shit. And my thing is, if we're going about, oh, I already talked about how the first 3 movies, they played on real rational fears. Fears of being on a plane, fears of driving on the highway, and fears of, being on a roller coaster. Now, who has fear that they're going to die or something's going to happen to them at a NASCAR event, at a race car event, besides the actual driver? Nobody, right? Exactly. So that one was the one that I just said, about. And nobody in that, nobody could act. Nobody was, the daddy, the uncle, whoever it was from ATL, he was the only one. George, he was the only one that I liked, okay? He was the one who did the same thing that Cal did in movie 2. When he tried to take himself out, but Death wouldn't let him because it wasn't his time yet. But he eventually get hit by a ambulance, just like old girl did when she got hit by a bus in Final Destination 1. Okay, cool. But yeah, you get this dude, his girlfriend, their 2 friends who are dumb bitches. Like, they're just really pretentious motherfuckers. And one is a whore, and the other one, she's just so materialistic, so snooty and all that shit. Neither one are likable, right? They go to the NASCAR, and the accident happens. You get a few people we see the deaths, okay? Like I said, the deaths look so corny and all of that stuff because it was supposed to be 3D. And it just turned out to be, if you're looking at it regular, for real. And so, when they finally get out, everybody, of course, started dying the way that they die, right? They threw in racism so bad up in this, and it was just so like, what's the point? Like, we get it. A lot of the more so Caucasian people go look at NASCARs and all that stuff. Why do we need the racism element to have the guys whistling Dixie when George walked past? That really bothered me. Like, what the fuck was that? And then when he went to go because he was the first one to die. Because his girl, who was also racist, wound up getting killed in the facility. And he survived. And he blamed it on George. George was at his home. He wound up finding where he lives at. He goes to his home, tried to put a cross and burn it on his lawn. But he winds up, getting dragged and trapped by his own tow truck and getting set on fire. Oh, okay. Then you get, who else you had? It was a possibility that the friends was going to get, killed, Hunt or the girl. And they both was going to die some way by water. Old girl wound up getting her car stuck up in a car wash, and she almost drowned up in that bitch because the car started malfunctioning. Okay? Then you get Hunt, who's over there at the pool. He got his guts sucked the fuck out. Now, my whole thing is, if the water pressure went up so bad up in the goddamn pool, this is the part that didn't make sense to me. How come nobody else felt this pressure? Nobody else felt that sucking intense pressure. And nobody else saw him struggling in that pool. What? And it sucked his guts out. It sucked his inside out. I wasn't even mad at it. I really wasn't. Again, the next person was supposed to be this other guy who was a mechanic. They go over there to his shop. He said, I'm good. Because I think he lost his wife as well. Girl, one of the propane tanks or whatever, it wound up going off and fucking putting him through a goddamn fence. Now that shit was fucked up. Because he seemed like an actual good guy. Then you got this mother who had 2 kids. She was going to get her hair done after she missed her appointment and they was closing up. See, y'all too nice. Because if it is 5:56 and we close at 6 o'clock, baby, I ain't finna take on no goddamn clients. I don't give a fuck. We're not staying open no longer than what I need to. And then they put her in a raggedy chair. So we all, you thinking that like the chair gonna cause her to die. You thinking that the fan up there gonna cause her to die, and it doesn't. It was some guy that was outside mowing the lawn, and he wound up running over a rock. And the rock wound up coming out and hitting her dead in the eye. After she told her kids, I got my eye on you. I said, girl, what? Lay down. And she did. She said, bitch. I said, oh, okay. And so then the next person they found out, it was a cowboy who was there, and he died, but they didn't know that he was still alive, and he was in the hospital, and he wound up dying because the nurse that was taking care of this old army vet who was very racist to him, he wound up leaving the tub on because he was supposed to do it for, I guess, his therapy or something, water therapy or something like that. He wound up leaving the tub on, and the tub was overflowing until it made the flow weak, and then the tub fell right on top of the cowboy. All right. Then after that, it's just the girlfriend of the main character, and her friend. They're the only ones that's still there. He has another premonition that once they go to the mall, go see this movie, they were going to die in the movie. And, the friend was going to die in the movie, after she tried to tell her to get the hell out. She was like, I was supposed to see this. I was destined to see this movie. I said, you're so fucking dramatic. It just didn't even make sense. It didn't go. And then once the girl got out, the girlfriend gets out, she winds up getting swallowed by the escalator. I'm going to tell you a story. If you make it this far, let me tell you this story. And I hope my sister ain't watching. When we was younger and we used to go to the conventions, because I told y'all we grew up and we was Jehovah's Witnesses. And used to have these little, annual, was it annual? Because sometimes we went to Hawthorne and sometimes we went to, for those that knows, out here in Chicago, Illinois, sometimes we would go to Hawthorne, the racetrack, when that used to be open. I used to love it when we went there because it gave me a taste of how it is to be in a stadium, but not really because it's outside, right? So it was one of those situations. We used to go over there before they closed it, and everything just always went to, what is it? Rosemont? Not Rosemont. Romeoville. Okay. So we was on lunch and we was getting our lunch because they used to provide us with lunch. I ain't gonna lie, baby. They used to give us some good food there, though. Okay. I was mad when they stopped. But we was getting the food, whatever. And my little sister, she probably was like 4 or 5 years old. I scarred that bitch to this day. She don't like getting on escalators. Okay, like she'll get on the escalator if she got to, but I do be seeing that she be having a little bit of hesitancy to it. Mind you, she 35 years old. 34 years old. I don't want to age her like that. The bitch 34. I'm 4 years older than her. She 34 years old. Okay? She 34 years old, bitch. To this day, she have a little hesitancy in her step when she see an escalator, okay? When she got to get on that hoe. Because we was trying to tell her to get on the escalator, and she wound up, I don't know if I pushed her because she was playing games or whatever, and she wound up falling down the escalator when we was I'm so sorry, bitch. That shit was so goddamn funny. It wasn't funny. I was a little scared too, but I was like, girl, get your ass up. It was one of those things. And it was one of those things that scar you for life. And I guess that's what it did for her. My bad, sis. But back to the movie, old girl got swallowed up by the escalator. And then he was the only one that survived. But he wound up, getting them out of there. And they wound up, he stopping the theater from blowing up and all that shit. Okay, fine. And they wound up at a coffee shop. And he was like, well, shit, bitch, we didn't survive this stuff. Now, what if this was the whole plan? Because he seen, something that was written on the goddamn table. And he was like, what if we were supposed to? This was the whole thing and the whole purpose. We were supposed to end up here. And he was like, what the fuck you talking about? Girl, next thing you know, a truck come right through the coffee shop and it took them out. I said, bitch, so what the fuck did y'all go through all this shit for just to end up? Get me out of here. I hated 4. 4 was the worst movie out of the franchise. Then you get to 5, bitch, okay? 5 come back to the irrational fears, okay? It gets back into it. They was on a bridge. You got this corporate type of job and these people going on a business trip. And the main character, his girlfriend, just broke up with him. But he want him to go. He trying to be a chef. He do get this internship or whatever to go over there to Paris, right? He wanted her to come with him. But you also got his friend who is dating this other girl that's there. And I feel like she's underage some way, somehow, because she's still in college. And I don't feel like they should have been, I ain't going to say underage, but I just feel like they shouldn't have been dating. Then you got the one who's like I guess you could say, the black sheep, the outcast, the one with the glasses. And then you got the little weirdo who thinks he's a player and all that shit. Okay. And then you got the black guy who just there and he's just he's a young guy. He's trying to get respect because he got promoted to be the manager of these people that's on the floor. It's like a factory type of thing. And it's a couple of people, and mainly this one guy named Roy, who don't respect him enough because he, like, ain't nobody young like that gonna be my boss. How the fuck you gonna come in and be my boss? Because he got the job, bitch. And I feel like it was some racist undertones with it too. Because dude was black and he was white. Okay, so they go on this trip. They get on the bus and they go on this bridge. It's construction work happening on the bridge. And next thing you know, the bridge starts collapsing. And basically everybody started down one by one. Everybody in that goddamn bus passes away except for the girlfriend of the main character, right? So I was like, oh, she's safe. And then he realizing again, it comes back to being pricked. His finger gets pricked on the bus. And that's when he realized something was going on. Again, a lot of people have fears about going over bridges. I have a fear about going over bridges, especially when it's a big body of fucking water, okay? Going to the movie theater out here, we go to the AMC 21 East, River East. And the way that you got to go to come home to my place, go there and come back, is a bridge that we got to go over. I don't like it. It makes my stomach drop. I don't like doing shit like that. It scares me all the time. So I understood. And so he told them to get the fuck up off the bus. And they do get off the bus. Those that finally did get off the bus, they made it. And the bus and the bridge did just collapse. Okay. So now we got this and we see Tony Todd comes back in the flesh because he is the coroner. And, he talk his little stuff or whatever. Because eventually everybody starts to die, one by one. But then they say one way that you can defeat death is you can prolong your life by taking the life of an innocent person. What? Are you serious? And you get their life. And so now you're stuck with the dilemma of, oh my God, I gotta kill somebody just to stay alive. You want to turn me into a murderer? Okay, like, duh, this is a little bit too much. So the first death that we see after this, that I'm telling you, it went back to being real gruesome a little bit. Because when that girl who was the gymnast, oh my goodness, I really thought that it was a nail that came out of the air conditioner and it fell on the balance beam. I thought her ass was going to hit that nail on that balance beam. Mind you, the air conditioner it came out of one of the machines or something. Okay, whatever the fuck. Either way, it was on the balance beam. Then you had the water dripping out of the air conditioner onto the floor where the cords and shit at. Bitch, I thought somebody was going to get electrocuted. Nobody got electrocuted. The bitch didn't put her feet on the goddamn screw that was on the thing. Another gymnast that was on the goddamn balance beam wound up stepping on that damn screw and then falling over onto the powder bowl, which caused all this dust to go up. Old girl that's gonna wind up dying, she was on the uneven bars. And it got all up in her face, so she just lost where she was at, and she wound up falling, and her body just cracked backwards. Oh my God, the way it bent. And that was old boy girlfriend. So he's so fucked up about it, and he saw it, right? And so now he's messed up. Then you get the weirdo in the office. He goes to the freaky weirdo. He's going through people's deaths who passed away already on the bridge accident, taking their stuff, found a massage thing, coupon, goes there, and playing into that stereotype of getting a happy ending from an Asian, massage girl. And I'm so glad that they switched it out from the cute girl to the grandmama, and basically was doing some acupuncture on him, and then told him to just go to sleep for a minute. Bitch, he wound up knocking over, or death came over and knocked over some little fire and all that shit. It came around the room, so it kind of trapped him. He wound up falling over onto his body that had all them goddamn needles in it. Okay. And then he wound up getting squashed. His head got squashed by Buddha, the Buddha statue. I'm so glad that he was gone. Okay. That didn't do nothing to me. The one that did something to me for real, outside of the gymnast one, I couldn't stand seeing that gymnast one when her body folded the way that it did. Ew. But it was the one when the girl was getting the LASIK surgery, because I be thinking sometimes, I used to think that I wanted LASIK surgery, and I was just like, I don't think I really want that, because I'm like, I just don't understand how it really works, and how I know they numb your eye and all that shit, but it's literally a fucking laser going into your eye. I've had eye surgery before, so listen. No, I don't know. And after seeing this, bitch, why would you keep your patient underneath the laser like that to go check on something? And then she freaking out already to the point where she done popped the eye off of the little teddy bear that she has as a comfort thing, right? That bitch pop off, the fucking laser comes on, and then it goes up to maximum charge, and it's going right through her eye. I said, oh my God. She wound up getting free, but then she's freaking out, and that eye that was on the floor, she winds up stepping on it, and it's tripped, and she falls out the fucking window. And what happens when she falls out the window? Her other eye pops out, and that bitch get rolled over by a goddamn car. That shit, oh my God, it made me cringe so bad. And then that's when they found out about how you could take a life, and then you'll get their life and all that shit. The black guy, there was an accident that was about to happen on the floor, and Roy was about to get, mind you talking all this shit, and the black guy wound up trying to help him by pushing him out the way, because when the accident he would have got killed anyway. So he pushed him out the way. But when he pushed him out the way from getting hurt, he wound up pushing him into a hook. And that hook went up in his neck and took him out. So now he got his life, right? He got the rest of his years, right? And then when the boss come on the set, the boss get taken out. He was the next one to go. I said, God damn. So now you got the friend who is upset that, the main character's girl is not going to die. So now he's trying to kill him, kill his friend's girlfriend. There's also a cop on there, Courtney Vance, played by Angela Bassett's husband. Okay, that's her husband. And he wound up killing him. Even though he was trying to kill her, he winds up killing him, taking his life. But then the main character came through and said, fuck that, and took his ass out, right? So now we thinking everybody's cool, everybody's going to be okay. It's over and it's done with. The whole mission and the whole thing about the main character here, he had this job opportunity to go learn under these famous chefs out there in Paris. So he was able to get on the plane, and his girl came with him. So they got back together, and after they went through all this, it's like, fuck it, let's go ahead and do what we got to do. They go on the plane. And this, I kid you not, when I first saw this, I said, yo, what the fuck? I like the way they did this. It wasn't the best movie. It wasn't the worst. But I said, coming off of movie 4, it was way better than that. It was way better than that. And when that happened, I said, bitch, what? They came back to the original. So basically, Final Destination 5 is a prequel to Final Destination 1. Because when they was getting on the plane, the guy and the girl from Final Destination 5, they get on the plane to go to Paris so that he can do his little cooking shit, right? This is when they see, as he trying to put his stuff up, you see Alex and Carter and them getting pulled off the plane because Alex just had his premonition. And then the plane blows up. They never made it to Paris. That was Flight 180. I said, oh my God, that is so silly. That is so good. And then it comes back, and the black guy, you know, they went to Roy's little memorial, whatever, and he wound up getting said, because he was thinking like, damn, did I meant to take his life like that, or was I really trying to save him? He was debating with himself. I said, well, at this point, it don't really matter. Bitch, you got his life. And I said, well, oops, let me take that back. Because one of the coworkers said, you know what? I mean, it's okay. He would have been gone anyway. Don't feel bad about that. Because he would have been gone anyway. He was like, wait a minute, excuse me, what do you mean? He said because he had a blood vessel that was about to bust. He had an aneurysm. That bitch was about to bust. And it would have took him out anyway. He would have had an aneurysm any day now. And I said, damn, so you took a life of somebody that was going to die anyway. And so guess what happened? The engine, one of the wheels or the engine fell, rotors or whatever from the plane fell down on a bar, and it fell down onto him and killed him. I said, damn, bitch. Damn, bitch. Now, mind you, all of this happened 14 years ago, so I'm sitting here like, you got Final Destination Bloodlines that comes out. How is this going to go? How is this going to go? Girl! I just feel like I want to do that in another movie, another one. I want to come back, and I'm going to do Final Destination Bloodline because I really want to talk about that. I'm going to give y'all that in a separate video. Come back and check that out. But this was 1 through 5. Again, I like the way they put 5 back to 1. 4 was the absolute worst. Okay? 4 was the absolute worst. But let me come back and let me talk to y'all later about Bloodlines.